What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Soulscast, episode number 13. My name is Jake, and with me, as always, the elusive, the illustrious, pursueth himself, also known as Bryce Gardner.
What's up, guys?
If you didn't know, this is the Next Level X weekly podcast where we talk about Dark Souls, upcoming Souls-like titles, and everything in between. About halfway through the show, we're going to have a segment we call Clip of the Week, where we feature some fine Dark Souls PvP. If you guys would like to have a clip featured in Clip of the Week, send your clips to merkknight@gmail.com. The email will be in the description. For today's cast, we are talking about patch 1.09, as well as Necropolis, which releases on July 12th, right around the corner.
Yeah.
Really excited for that one.
Yeah, I generally have been trained not to get too excited about games.
Yeah.
So I'm going back and forth between being excited and being skeptical, and
I think my level of hype is appropriate for what the game is going to be.
Yeah, I don't expect. It's not like, oh, Dark Souls 4 is coming out or something like that, or
right.
Dark Souls 3 DLC.
But before we get to Necropolis, let's talk about this patch. The biggest patch
Let's do it.
Released to date. The most balancing things, the most adjustments that they've made in one patch since release. So it's pretty exciting stuff. I've got the patch notes here, and we're just going to kind of go through them and talk over, the most impactful things to come about in this patch.
Yep.
So starting it off, all daggers have increased critical attack power now, which is exciting, I think, for a couple of reasons.
Yeah. They nerfed the Hornet Ring as well, which we'll get to. I mean,
right.
that's part of what they did. And basically what it means, I think, is more people will carry around a dagger for a riposte instead of a heavy weapon.
Instead of having just the Hornet Ring. So when you do riposte, it's going to do more damage when you use a dagger than it used to, which makes total sense because as far as build variety goes, with the Hornet Ring, there was really no reason to use a dagger.
I also saw that they made it harder to swap in your riposte window. Like,
really?
There's less time.
Really?
I was reading about that yesterday, yes. So supposedly there's less time to get up there, which should make it harder for people to, like, ring swap and stuff like that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of one of the cooler things is getting,
Yeah.
That's the next level of skill showcase is being able to do all the ring swaps. And,
yeah, for sure.
All that crazy shit. But moving on, the biggest one, the one that people have been clamoring for so long, the Dark Sword got nerfed.
It did.
The Dark Sword, its weapon efficiency is reduced. Whatever that means.
Thank you, FromSoft, for
means you can't
gloriously detailed patch notes, as always.
Right. It means you can't just spam R1 with the Dark Sword and win every single time.
Yeah.
As long as you're within range of your opponent.
Hopefully it's a little more balanced now.
To be honest, I haven't had an overwhelming amount of matches against the Dark Sword where I've been super annoyed or anything like that.
I feel you.
But
sometimes it's just like, the thing about it that was annoying for me is I'll fight someone and against any other weapon, what I would do would work, wait for them to swing twice or wait for them to run out of stamina and then go in. But they would, like, run out of stamina, you'd go in, and by the time your attack would start to go in, they'd have enough stamina and they'd hit you.
And it would stagger you too, kind of.
Yeah, so it was really frustrating.
So yeah, Dark Sword nerfed. Maybe the biggest thing to come about in this patch.
A lot of people will be very happy about that.
Are really happy. So there's that. Henri's sword reduced scaling. So that's a sword, scales with luck. And honestly,
the only way it's good now is if you're full quality build and you have 40 luck. Like, that's how it works now. It's not, like, that's the weapon all the speedrunners were using. It was scaling so hard.
Oh, it was crazy, man. I remember I had made a character just to see what it was like and just rushed straight to that sword and just pumped all my points into luck. And by the time I got there, everything was, like, getting one shot, two shot as far as the PvE was concerned. So that's good, I guess. I mean, it makes sense. It not as far as PvP goes. I never really ran into anyone ever who I was like, oh, it's Henri's straight sword. Oh no, that never happened. Ever for me. So I don't think it really, for me, it doesn't impact PvP a whole lot. But as far as the PvE experience is concerned, I think it is going to be a little bit more balanced now.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Something for speedrunners to definitely take into consideration.
Yeah, it's going to change. I wonder if it's going to be harder for them to get faster times now, maybe.
Probably.
We'll see. It's interesting.
So another one that actually impacts me personally, Wolnir's Holy Sword has added faith scaling and efficiency.
Pretty much every weapon that had lightning damage on it or whatever has gotten faith scaling. Not even just lightning damage, or like weapons that should have had faith scaling. I was reading there's a bug though where fully upgraded they still have like E's and D's, some of them in faith, but I think that could honestly be like a graphical bug, or maybe something didn't get copied over quite right. I'm sure that'll get ironed out. But it's definitely good news.
So I'm hyped on that one because I actually went back and made a Twink build where I traded some weapons to one of my characters that was super low level. Some faith rings, Wolnir's Holy Sword. I was actually doing a cosplay and I called the character Holy Woolly, and I was running around with Wolnir's sword, and I thought it was going to be super fun, and only to realize that it was pure garbage. Just garbage. No matter what I did, there was no hyper armor on the weapon art, which is the Wrath of the Gods. No hyper armor on that whatsoever. So trying to get that off in a PvP environment is not really going to happen when you're invading and stuff like that. At the high wall. And I was super disappointed when I realized that this Holy Woolly character had no future. There was just I just deleted the character because it was a waste of time. So maybe I'll go back and try that again, see how that goes. Maybe you guys will see a video of that or something, who knows. But that's cool to me. I'm excited for that.
To like Morn's hammer.
We're getting there.
Oh yeah.
So
excuse me.
Yeah, so they added faith scaling to Morn's hammer and efficiency. Yeah. Which is interesting because as far as everything that I had seen online about people using Morn's hammer, I never really noticed it being underpowered.
Yeah, it seemed good.
It seemed good every time I saw people using it. So now, it could... Is it God tier now? Is it super good?
I don't know.
It might be worth checking into.
Strength, faith,
I saw several people make Gank Spank builds with that hammer before it was buffed, and now it's buffed, so who knows?
Maybe it's awesome.
That might be the Gank Spank hammer. Cool. Also, the Crescent Moon Sword has added intelligence scaling, which is hilarious. I think this is... They actually added... It didn't have any intelligence scaling.
But it shot magic
But it shoots magic just like the Moonlight Greatsword. So...
Yeah,
it was silly that they didn't have that in the first place, but it's good that it has it now.
Yeah.
That weapon was kind of garbage, and it seemed like a really cool idea that they put a lot of effort into.
I like Shodels. I think they're kind of cool. They're fast, and like... I don't know, the idea of getting behind shields and all that is cool.
It's just silly that they made that weapon, and it's like... Here, we're going to make a weapon that's going to emulate the Moonlight Greatsword, but it's a Shodel. And the thing that it shoots out is going to be like a whirly. It was a cool idea that seemed half-baked because they didn't put any strength behind it, any power into that weapon.
Can we be honest and say that pretty much all of the mixed scaling weapons were pretty half-baked at the beginning of this game's life cycle? Yeah.
I remember my first playthrough, I did an int dex build. And I wondered why it was so underwhelming. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was my first playthrough was probably my most difficult, not just because I didn't know the game yet, but also because I was not doing the damage that I should have been doing, you know? Yeah. Which sucks. But
I feel that.
Moving on, the Lothric Holy Sword added faith scaling and efficiency. Thank God. When I first got this sword, I was so hyped. I was like, I'm making a faith character. I'm going to use Lothric's sword. It's going to be sick. Like, the princes were such a cool boss fight. Yeah. They were so hard the first time. I was so excited to use Lothric's holy sword. You know, the whole... Either he's named after the kingdom or the kingdom's named after him, but the whole area you play in, it's... I just thought it was going to be a super good weapon. and it was garbage, had no faith scaling. I think I even remember commiserating with you about it and just being like, how is this weapon so bad?
Yeah.
Like, why would this weapon be so bad?
I tried to use it too.
Yeah. And it just blew my mind. I just didn't understand
it. Shouldn't be bad.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't be bad.
And so now maybe it's better. You know what's funny is that as soon as I've been doing a lot of PvP lately, and as soon as this patch,
have you been fighting a lot of faith users?
It seemed like right after this patch came out, I fought a dude named Cleric. I've fought so many Lothric Holy Sword users.
Really?
I fought so many people using Lightning Stake now that they just buffed all this faith stuff, and everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna go try faith now. It's so funny. But also, I think the reason why faith will always be underpowered is because everyone runs high stamina or high endurance.
Yeah.
And that gives you lightning defense, natural lightning defense. So if everyone's running high endurance, then you're going to have more lightning defense than other elements. So, I don't know. Something to think about.
Thought.
But the next one, an interesting weapon that I've never really personally used, Yorshka's Spear has added
haven't touched it.
FP damage. So apparently when you hit people with that spear, it drains their FP, which is a cool idea.
But it seems like it'd be like kind of a slow weapon.
Maybe. But if you're the thing is, it would seem like you would have to be fighting a caster,
a mage,
and then that would be cool. But in what scenario is that going to be a thing where you're...
Yeah, and it's like if you hit them 5 or 6 times, they're probably going to be dead anyway.
Exactly, and also magic's garbage, so that's not really super useful.
I think it's like a little better now.
The tracking is... We'll talk about it. Tracking is still not a thing. That's still effed.
You gotta have that free aim.
Yeah, I guess, man. Scholar's Candlestick, reduced sorcery buffing. I never noticed that being a problem.
It wasn't that it was a problem. It was just that it was like your only option as like a casting tool in a lot of ways for certain things. Because it was just so much better than everything else to cast with.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid.
Right. Yeah, like they don't need help.
Yeah.
Right. I say they as in like all those poor intelligence users out there.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, sorry, guys.
Yeah. They've got a rough time going for them.
Yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely.
Demon Fist's reduced weight.
Yeah, it's like 5 pounds instead of 8 pounds now.
Yeah, this seemed like it was like a ridiculous for a fist weapon. I guess I understand.
It's probably still garbage too. That's what's funny.
I guess I understand why it would be so heavy. Why they in like lore wise, why they would think to make it so heavy, but
it was still too heavy.
Yeah.
The Chosen Undead / Unkindled is not a bitch.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I don't know. You tell me. I've actually seen some people wielding that weapon in their offhand now and parrying with it, which I didn't know you could do. It's flashy. It looks cool.
Yeah.
Why not use that instead of a cestus if you have the extra weight to spare?
Yeah. I'd rather just use a small shield now that it's pretty much the same.
Right.
But that's me.
I just like using the cestus because it doesn't mess with my fashion souls at all. If I'm using a character that doesn't use a shield,
I feel that.
then you don't have to have a shield in your offhand when you're walking around. It just looks like you have nothing in your hand, and you can still parry with it. See, I wish they had kept it the Dark Souls 2 way where you could just parry with nothing in your offhand.
Yeah.
Because you could do that in Dark Souls 2, and it was the bomb.
It was tight, yeah.
It was super good.
It was ninja.
So...
I'm having flashbacks right now to just many glorious parries.
God, I miss Dark Souls 2.
Me too.
Great Sword of Judgment, increased attack power. That's cool because when I did that first playthrough as an int user, I saw that sword and I was like, damn. This seems sick. So maybe now's a good time to go back and mess with that.
Maybe. Great swords still probably suck.
Whatever, dude. I think anything can be good.
Yeah.
I really do. If you're good, anything can be good.
Certain things have a lot easier chance of being good.
Dude, I watch people online wreck people with the most garbage weapons. So
yeah.
It's all skill.
Yeah. Feel it.
Heisel's pick has increased intelligence scaling.
Hazel,
maybe? Whatever. Hazel's, I don't really care. That weapon looks
hideous.
dumb, and
I would never use it.
So, moving on. All shield piercing effects have been buffed.
That's cool.
That is cool because there's a couple weapons that have that ability on it that I never really messed with because it didn't seem that good.
I've used the Corvian scythe.
Yeah.
And it's tight.
Is it?
I like it a lot. It's awesome.
I could see it being fun.
It's like similar to Henri's sword levels of OP.
Also, though,
I would say like early in the game, if you can get it, buff a bunch of points into Hollow, and put bleed on it. Like that was the first weapon I beat the Nameless King with.
Really?
It was because when he goes into that second phase and he gets down, full stamina bar, he got bled, and then I hit him a couple more times and he just went down. He never did anything in me. I just kept him on the ground in the second phase. Yeah, it was insane.
The only thing that I think is going to keep those weapons back from being super viable in PvP is that not a ton of people use shields. Some people do. I feel like I run into about 75% of people don't even mess with shields.
Yeah.
And if you run into someone, I fought someone using Havel's Great Shield as their primary weapon the other day, and that was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's been OP since the beginning of the game.
I just didn't know what to do.
It's hard to get behind people. The tracking's too freaking good in the game, and it's hard to punish dumb things like that sometimes.
What I should have done is I should have done a quick ring swap to put on the horse hoof ring, and
just kick the fuck
try
out of him.
To see if I could.
But then he can just push you when you go to kick him.
Right.
So it's
I don't know, broken.
Yeah.
All weapons that self buff, the buffs last longer now.
Yep. Which is pretty tight. Pretty tight,
cool.
for sure. Because you can't put resins on them.
Sunlight Sword.
The Lorian's Great Sword. The Ultra Great Sword. I love that weapon. That weapon's awesome.
Yeah, it is cool.
The Demon Great Axe, I'm pretty sure self buffs.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure it does. There's a few other weapons that self buff.
There's a couple of them.
That's cool though. That seems like that was like an unexpected little, just like, oh, thanks FromSoft.
Right.
Didn't even really think about that, but I'm down with it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the Obscuring Ring has added range for the invisibility.
They buffed it?
Yeah, they buffed it.
I've never used it in PvP ever because I feel like it's like
silly.
I feel like it's for like those super tryhards who like think they're ninjas, but really they were just invisible from a dumb ring.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to get.
I'm trying not to call people out, but I'm kind of calling them out.
It's hard.
It's probably fun.
It's hard to get it, so it makes sense that it's a good reward for a lot of effort to get.
Why is it? It's not that hard to get, is it?
It's like the top tier. Reward for.
Rosaria's
fingers.
You just gotta kill people. That's not that
right, but for people who aren't constant PvPers, I mean, it's like the most difficult thing to get for that covenant or whatever. So
yeah, I feel that. I guess that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't really mess with it.
I saw that and I was like, I thought they were gonna nerf it.
I'm more into competitive PvP where.
I love invasions, but
it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
Hornet Ring nerfed. We talked about that earlier.
It's still good. It's just not as good.
Kind of adds. Yeah, it was ridiculous before. It kind of adds some reason to use the knives like we were talking about, the daggers that we were talking about before. Yeah. Magic Barrier has an extended effect now, so like when you cast Magic Barrier, it'll last longer.
I think so. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep. I think the same thing they did for Magic Shield as well. Is that what it said or no?
Probably.
I don't remember.
I think so. And then Black Serpent. The Black Serpent spell has added tracking.
Cool. Pyromancy is probably the easiest thing to land, so I don't understand why they're buffing Pyromancy. Why
don't they just give added tracking to spells? I understand. Maybe they thought that spells were too OP in Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
And maybe they're doing this in backlash to that. But right now, we'll talk.
Right now, that just makes people mad. That doesn't, like, you know what I mean? Like, people got the access to that much build variety, and now
But the thing about Dark Souls 2 was that when you would go up against a magic user, you could infuse
Run them down.
You could infuse shields.
Yeah.
You could have a shield that blocks 100% of magic damage.
Yeah, on like high level try hard builds, you could have a dark shield, a magic shield, and a lightning shield or whatever.
Yeah, and honestly, really, all I would ever do is just have a magic shield and then a regular shield if I wanted to, and you could switch between those. Mm-hmm. And then it was so gratifying to have these super good mages try and cast like. What was that?
Soul Spear.
Crystal Soul Spear at you, like the most powerful.
You just block
and
the
you
shit
just
out
block the whole thing. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Super gratifying to do that.
Yeah.
Lightning Stake now requires 1 slot instead of 2.
That's pretty cool.
That is definitely appropriate, but that spell is really good.
Yeah.
Actually,
it's cool though. They needed.
It's really good
help.
If you use the catalyst that gives you where the weapon art on the catalyst gives you hyper armor.
Yeah,
because
I think it's
people will try and run you down as you're casting it, and then you just hyper armor through it and hit them for so much damage.
What is that called? It's not perseverance. It's I don't remember.
It is perseverance.
Maybe it is. It could be. That's what it is on the maces.
Yeah, but yeah, it's
tight. Yeah. It's what you need.
It's that good stuff.
Indeed.
Divine Pillars of Light have increased attack power.
Never used it once.
I haven't used it, but it sounds like it was probably necessary. I've never, honestly...
I don't think I've even died to that.
I don't think I've fought anyone who's used that.
Me either.
Ever. But it's a really cool looking spell. I'm going to do that.
Are you?
That's next up.
Sure you are.
That's next up. Big news right here. Bug pellet items have extended effects.
That's important, guys.
Yes.
Those
super
stacks
hyped.
Of 99 bugs in your inventory that
Super
you never
hyped.
use.
What does that even do? It makes you take less damage from certain things? Is that what that does?
Yeah.
I don't care. And then at the very end they say...
They're smelter demon only.
The very end they say, other game balance issues.
The game's perfect now, guys.
Now it's good. All the other stuff's fixed. It's not a problem anymore.
Thanks, FromSoft.
So, yeah, before we go into clip of the week, I want to run over some of the remaining problems that this patch fixed. Hopefully, ideally, this patch fixes a lot of problems. There's still a lot of issues that need to be resolved that are hurting the game pretty severely, I feel like.
I agree.
I would say the first one, definitely Covenants. Covenants are garbage.
Yeah, they don't work very well.
A lot of them don't work very well. A lot of them are the same thing, just for different areas.
I've given up on that shit.
They don't... It's just not good. I think that Covenants weren't perfect in Dark Souls 2,
Whenever they finally
but...
fix it, that's when I'm going to go back and platinum the game on all the consoles. But I don't want to go grind 1,000,000 Silver Knights just to get...
Yeah, no. Phantom range, in my opinion, is still a huge problem. It's
unreal.
I just didn't feel like in Dark Souls 2 that it was that bad.
It was there, but it wasn't the same.
It was there, but now it's just like so out there.
I think it's more apparent in this game because you move faster. So you get away and you still get hit, and it's like, what the heck? In Dark Souls 2, because you move slower, you would be kind of on your way, getting away, and it would clip you and be like, dang, that
But it looks like it was meant to hit you.
Kind of close.
Maybe that's why Dark Souls is meant to be a slower game.
Yeah, like it could be. There's just too much going on, and there's too much that the game has to like compute.
It's rendering these entire environments, and then it also has to render
your acute PvP scenario.
Your PvP scenario.
Yeah.
In the third person, and you can just see. If the sword doesn't hit you, then it shouldn't hit you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's the only way we have to gauge whether you're dodging an attack or not.
It sounds unreasonable, man.
It sounds unreasonable, but I don't think it should be in this day and age.
No,
I really don't.
I know. I'm being sarcastic.
Well, I mean, as far as I'm not a game designer, I'm not a developer, I'm not a programmer, and I'm sure that that's not an easy thing to do.
I don't think so. Not at all.
But maybe that's why there needs to be some sort of special arena where they don't have to render an entire environment, where maybe PvP could be a little bit snappier, be a little bit sharper, just be more controlled and meant for just the PvP experience.
Yeah.
Because right now, Dark Souls and any game like it is never going to be played on a truly competitive level because of this phantom range, because there's no way
esports competitive. Obviously, the game is still competitive, but we're talking like
I'm talking about truly competitive. I'm talking about the thing is, you can say anything is competitive, but it's not truly competitive when on my screen it looks like I'm not getting hit, but on your screen it looks like I'm getting hit. There needs to be, and even sometimes on your own screen it doesn't look like you're hitting people, but you hit them. Yeah, it makes no sense. Yeah. It makes absolutely no sense. I agree. I swear I'm going to put a video together just of all the clips where it's just like disgusting, like what happened. Like you watch a sword swing 5 feet away from you and then you're over here and you're like, Gah! It's just garbage, man. It ruins it ruins the PvP when that happens. It ruins it. Poise not being in the game at all.
It's been concluded that poise affects your hyper armor on your swings.
Right. Whatever.
Full Havels for the win.
Yeah, right. All day. Build diversity kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. There's just not
getting there.
Right now, you see more quality builds than anything else.
Yeah.
There's no reason to use certain weapons of a class. Like, if you're going to use curved swords, there's no reason not to use the Karthus curved sword. It's just the best curved sword that's in the game.
Yep.
If you're going to use a great sword, there's no reason not to use...
a Stora great sword, I'm pretty sure, is the best one.
No, the Ultra Great Sword, I mean. There's no reason not to use the Fume Ultra Great Sword.
Well, there's arguably some different ones that are good just for different movesets.
There are, but like, as far as... There's just so many weapons that are just flat out like the best of whatever it is. Unless you're trying to... anyone can be good with anything, and that's not what I'm saying. But there should be... Like in Dark Souls 2... The build variety was insane. You could do so many different things, and there were so many things that were different, that were viable for different reasons. And it just feels like that's just been scaled back in Dark Souls 3 a little bit.
I agree.
There are no twin blades in the game.
You're right.
And that sucks.
That does suck.
Why aren't there twin blades in the game? Why did they take away twin blades? Why would they do that?
I never even realized that.
Yeah.
Wow. That does suck.
Hmm?
Why? I liked fighting people that were using
the
twin
DLC.
Blades. It's like, it's the twin blades.
What if they released DLC and it's like
twin blades
and poise?
They just like drop some random weapons across the world. It's gonna be. Like, it's just, we got too many projects.
Now you guys have poise and twin blades, and spells track appropriately and arrows track appropriately.
Well, that'll be the last DLC.
Right. It'll be spells and arrows. Poison twin blades.
It's gonna be hyper tracking, and then fire bombs will have super good tracking too. And it's just gonna be projectiles.
But yeah, that was the other thing I had written down here. The tracking for spells and arrows, it just sucks. It's just
in some ways it's amazing because if it goes right past your head, it doesn't hit you.
It is amazing. It's incredible, but at the same time, how are they supposed to be viable? How?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
You gotta be a god.
Even in Dark Souls 2, it had a really good balance to it. You knew that if you rolled at the right second, you would dodge the arrow. But pretty much, you couldn't just be walking in a direction. If you're walking
blow on it
at a slow pace to the side and someone shoots at you with an arrow, it's going to hit you probably. Now, granted, if you're sprinting in that direction, it'll probably miss you.
Yeah.
But you still had to dodge to miss the arrow. And it's basically saying, okay... It was baking in the skill of an archer to your auto aim, where saying is, okay, they're walking that direction. If I was an archer using a bow, I would lead them a little bit, but to actually do that in game with a free aim is downright impossible. Not impossible, but really hard and not worth it. Yeah. So it's baking in that skill that you would have if you were actually an archer. I feel. Like. So I don't know. Yeah. So bows aren't viable, and I wish they were. Spells and it just don't track well.
Yeah,
sucks. But yeah, still really fun game. Still really like it a lot.
And a really good patch. Yeah, to be honest,
good patch.
A lot of things working in the right direction.
We'll see how they all play out long term.
Yeah,
I don't know yet. I haven't really messed with any of them yet personally, but we'll see. But that takes us to about halfway through. We're gonna go ahead and toss it over to clip of the week, and I hope you guys enjoy. All right, welcome back. Hope you guys enjoyed the clip of the week. So yeah, that does it for patch notes. Now, I'd like to spend the rest of the cast just kind of talking about Necropolis, talking about, what we're excited for, hopes and dreams and wishes for that game,
Yep.
and kind of what we plan on doing with it.
We have talked about Necropolis
We've
before.
talked about it a little bit before. We're going to get a little bit deeper in it right now.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, it's a roguelike dungeon crawler.
It's a rogue-like, Souls-like dungeon crawler.
Permadeath,
randomly generated.
couch co-op.
Not couch co-op.
It's not couch co-op?
No.
Damn.
Nope, no couch co-op. It's
I
online
thought that
co-op.
was a thing. Oh, wow. Okay. Dang, that seems like a missed opportunity there, doesn't it?
Yeah, kind of, but also couch co-op's just dying in general. It's not.
It
It's because
it's hard.
It doesn't make sense for developers or for the consoles because they want to sell more consoles, and they can also make the games look better if they don't have to render two different screens at the same time.
You were saying, though...
Yeah, Souls-like, roguelike, randomly generated dungeons.
That's what it was.
So let's start out. What are you most excited about doing in this game? What excites you most about this kind of game coming out?
Mostly, I'm excited. Man, that's weird, because the first thing that pops into my mind is beating it.
Which you can.
I want to beat it.
Right.
You know? That's always exciting. But also, I'm excited to pick different shit up off the ground and try it.
Right.
Because that excitement also, is 100% attached to my biggest concern, which is it going to be very, you have a few different swings and a few different special abilities and that's it? Or is it going to be wow, I found this fireball spell and I also have this spell, and I want to be a caster. Is that going to be a thing? Or, I want to know what kind of class complexity there is or how character building works. That's my biggest excitement, I guess, is because that's where that's where my replayability will come from. Be like, oh wow, my whole time last time I basically used these weapons, and this time I want to use a really big shield and a slow weapon or something. You know what I mean? Just to try to do something different. It's always cool. Or
because I know that as far as what I've seen, I have seen some big shields, small shields, some axes, swords, daggers.
Yeah.
I know that there are abilities that you gain that you pick up that are randomly generated. So you're going to find some abilities on one playthrough that you won't find on another playthrough that'll affect the way that you play the game and stuff like that. So I think that'll factor into it. I don't know if there are casters or anything like that, man. I
don't need it. I'm just curious.
I don't think there will be casters.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm pretty... I really don't know how this game is going to work, to be honest.
I don't either. I don't know what to expect.
It's
coming out on PC first.
Yeah, which isn't that surprising for an indie game.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how different the dungeons are every time they get generated, and also the fact that it's got a little bit more of a lighthearted kind of game than Souls is.
Do you know what I'm also excited about, man?
What?
The fact that I'm going to be downloading and installing a Souls-like game at midnight that I don't really know a lot of things about.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So that's where
It introduces some new mechanics that Souls has never done, which are even more punishing and more difficult than what Souls does. You can, if you use too many power attacks over and over again, you get exhausted, which actually takes a chunk out of your stamina bar that you don't regenerate unless you find and either cook or eat some food that you find.
For sure.
Which is cool. That is super punishing. So that's gonna factor into how people play the game, the tactics that you use. A lot of the footage I've seen, I see people spamming these power attacks like that's the way to play. And I think that they do a good amount of damage to a lot of enemies like that, but it also seems like in the long run, when you're trying to make it through and actually beat the game, that might not be the best way to do it because you don't know what you're going to run into around the corner.
Yeah.
You know, you might have burned your stamina down, you don't have the food for it, so you're going around a corner and then you run into a huge mob and you get into a big fight. I guess what I'm really excited about the most about this game is being able to play with you and play with like our other friends and get into these scenarios where it's like, okay, like,
what are we supposed to do?
I have super low health, I'm out of potions, you have some health and he has some health, so I gotta like stay back, get like my jabs in, but I kind of have to fall back. When you die, that's the other thing, is when you die, your teammates can resurrect you.
But if everyone dies,
you wipe and it's over. I just wonder if when you resurrect, do you resurrect with full health? And if so, that's going to factor into strategy, because this
person goes and dies, and we'll get them back.
Well, say you're fighting a bunch of enemies and you have one guy with low health, and it's a fine scenario, you're not going to die, but you get him down to one enemy. And so then it would be beneficial just to let that one person go up, get killed by that enemy. Kill the enemy, res your guy, he'll have health back. That seems to me to be the way to... Honestly, it might even be broken if that's the case.
Yeah.
I don't know if you will res with full health.
I wonder, too, if you beat the first dungeon, when you die, do you have to restart and do the whole first dungeon, or do you start at the... You know what I mean? Like how the permadeath kind of thing is going to work.
If you die, you start over.
All the way from the beginning?
From the beginning. If you all die, you start over. But intense. It's a new dungeon.
Yeah. That
you didn't experience last time. Yeah. Different enemies, different placements, different level design, everything. Yeah. So the thing is, if you die, it's like you're not going to have to go redo the same stuff you already did last time, because it's new stuff every single time.
It's interesting.
So that aspect of it, when you're playing through a Souls game and you keep dying, it's like, I got to run through this and fight all these same enemies again and do this and do that. And that's kind of the part that if I'm like ever stuck on a part in Souls or anything like that, it's like that's the part where you're like, I don't want to replay that part of the level, or I don't want to go through Shrine of Amana again. This game, I think, will alleviate some of that, because you're not going to have to. It's going to be new every time. Mm-hmm. So that could be cool. But I think that the co-op, honestly, is what excites me most. That's a big selling
point for me.
Excites me a lot.
Especially since it's a game, I think, that's designed around kind of wanting you to co-op.
Right.
I think they might even have options to like group up with random people and try to play through.
I'll say this. I think we're going to beat it on the first night.
You think so?
I think it's possible.
That'd be cool.
I'm
going to try to get a couple other guys in on it, maybe, so there'd be 4 of us.
There are 4 of us. I think there's no way that we wouldn't. I'm just so overconfident about things like this.
I'm skeptical to say anything, because I don't really know what I'm getting myself into.
I've watched some gameplay, and I really don't think... If there's 4 of us and we're communicating and we're coordinating and we're not all just like button mashing...
I'm running through scenarios in my head of like, oh no, I'm the only one left and there's a huge wave of enemies, and like trying to get them and then dying, and everyone be like, no!
We're just gonna... If there's 4 of us, we're just gonna have to be...
Careful
and like be in it for the long haul, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll probably beat it in like 10 minutes.
Apparently if it takes 6 hours to beat it.
Okay.
So it's a 6-hour play session. That's not that bad.
No.
6 hours. I've played Souls for many times that amount of hours in one session before. So
yeah. When Dark Souls 3, when we first played it,
played for like 13 or 14 hours straight.
Slept for like 5 hours.
And then woke up and started playing again. Yeah, man, I just don't...
Yeah.
I think it's going to be fun. I hope it's fun. I hope I enjoy it a lot. I'm excited to get into it and see what it has to offer.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've even been talking about potentially doing a Twitch event where we'll
stream us playing it.
One of us will stream, and we'll both be in chat, and we'll both kind of be, have the Twitch chat open.
Almost 100% will probably happen.
Yeah, it's gonna
That'll be fun. That would be next Monday at midnight.
At midnight, yep.
Eastern time.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm excited to do that, and I think that this kind of game lends itself to being streamed really well. Yeah. Because we'll be in there like figuring things out and talking to each other, and people will be able to see, our first reactions to things, and I think that could be really, really fun. But yeah, I'm stoked to have a new game to be excited about. It's just around the corner next week.
We're getting our first
Wait, is it next week?
major Souls-like to get our hands on. It's next week.
Is it?
Next Monday.
Is it next Monday?
Yeah.
No way.
Today's the 4th. 4 plus 7 is 11. Monday at midnight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies.
It do.
Time flies.
That it do.
But guys, that about wraps up episode 13 of Soulscast. As always, thank you for coming and thank you for watching. And, don't forget, we post this each and every Monday or Tuesday, beginning of the week.
Yeah.
So don't forget to tune in next week for another Soulscast. And also, don't forget to praise the sun.
Yeah. And like and subscribe.
And like and subscribe. Share it with your
While
friends.
praising the sun.
Praise the sun, but don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Thank you.